Looking at this picture, deep out of this hypothalamus section of the brain, you see that the pituitary gland has a posterior and an anterior lobe. The hypothalamus is another major endocrine organ. It sits above the pituitary gland in the brain and it connects the endocrine system with the nervous system. Please highlight this. The hypothalamus we talked about earlier in the nervous system when we discussed the brain tissues and organs. The hypothalamus does many things, but it also aids in production of endocrine hormones. This hypothalamus helps the pituitary gland secrete hormones. It is a major assistant. Since emotional and seasonal changes also trigger the secretion of pituitary hormones, the hypothalamus transmits information like change in temperature, light, the emotions and feelings, etc., sensed by the brain to the pituitary gland. This is the location of your hypothalamus. The picture with the red circle, of course, is your pituitary gland. Another organ is the thyroid. The thyroid is a butterfly-shaped gland found in the front part of the lower neck. Remember, thyroid, throat. It produces a chemical known as thyroxine, which controls the chemical reactions in the body. It burns like food-producing energy. It stimulates the metabolism of fats and proteins and vitamins. It's very important for maintaining metabolism. So think of thyroxine as a metabolism booster. Thyroid hormones contribute towards bone growth and proper development of the brain and the nervous system in children. Please highlight that. This is very important to know that brain development in children, along with growth of bones, is caused by the distribution of thyroid hormones. Parathyroids are tiny glands attached to the thyroid, and they're smaller because they are para. They are located on both sides. They create something very important, a hormone called calcitonin, which controls the level of calcium in the blood. Don't confuse calcitonin with calcitrol. They're two different things. Yes, they have an element of calcium in it, but here's the big deal. Calcitonin is the hormone that controls the level of calcium in the body. Calcitrol is the hormone which actually produces calcium for bone growth. So calcitonin actually is kind of the boss of calcitrol. This is the location of the parathyroid glands. And if you look in the middle, that is the thyroid gland. All of this is located in the throat right above the sternum, where the trachea is. Next, we have the adrenal glands. These adrenal glands are situated on top of the kidneys. They have two major parts. Number one, the adrenal cortex secretes a hormone called corticosteroids, which controls the level of salt and water in the body, the rate of metabolism, immune system functioning, and sexual development, and the response of the body to stress. If you think of the adrenals, you ever hear of something like, oh, I'm scared, I'm shaking, my adrenaline is pumped? Well, this is it, because it has a lot to do with stress, the last sentence in this paragraph. Adrenal system is what deals with the stress to the human body. Number two, the adrenal medulla. Ooh, sounds like medulla. We've heard that before. Where? The medulla oblongata? Well, the adrenal medulla releases a hormone called epinephrine. Epinephrine is known as pure adrenaline. When the body is stressed out, epinephrine increases the heart rate, it dilates the blood vessels so that more blood travels through an air passage, helps the body to gain more oxygen. It is also used to treat allergic reactions caused due to a foreign protein. So the adrenal medulla is the part of the adrenal gland which controls what we call the Red Bull effect, the actual energy, the heightened alert status. When your body is in danger, it increases a lot of energy and adrenaline. This is a picture of two kidneys, and on top of them are the suprarenal, or we call adrenal glands. Another organ called the pineal gland is found at the center of the brain. Shaped like a pine cone and reddish gray in color, this tiny gland is made up of glial cells. Don't forget, glial cells are what help to travel neural glial cells, or neurons. It connects the endocrine system and the nervous system. This is very important. Please highlight that. It secretes melatonin, a hormone that regulates sleep cycle and hormonal changes during adolescence. Highlight melatonin. Melatonin is what allows you to basically sleep and relax. Melatonin, I think of melodrama, just letting yourself go. In this case, a very nice relaxed state. And there we have a picture of the pineal gland located right dead center of the brain, right above the brain stem. Last but not least, let's talk about reproductive glands or the gonads. We'll get more in depth when we get to the final chapter of reproduction, but let's talk briefly here. Reproductive glands or gonads secrete sex hormones. Androgen, of which the most necessary, creates testosterone in the male body. Progesterone and estrogen are the hormones predominant in female sex hormones. Let's talk about the male gonads. They're referred to as testes, not balls. Okay, people? Let's be mature here. It is called testes. They are located in the scrotum. The scrotum is a fleshy sac that inhouses both testes of the male. The male sex hormones influence changes related to physical and sexual development, and the male's secondary sex characteristics like growth of pubic and facial hair, also changes in voice. Testosterone also assists in sperm production. Over on the other side, the female gonads, known as the ovaries, secrete the female sex hormones, estrogen and progesterone, which help in stimulating the production of eggs. Moreover, they are also responsible for the physical changes that occur during puberty. Besides regulating the menstrual cycle, the ovaries do help the female produce their body. Looking at this picture, you can see the pineal gland, the hypothalamus, the pituitary, thyroid glands, parathyroid, the thymus, the adrenals, and the pancreas, along with the ovary and the testes on both sides of the body. So, there's one more organ. What about the pancreas? What does it do? Well, the pancreas, it's pretty important. It makes one thing and one thing only. It secretes insulin. Insulin is a hormone that allows the passage of glucose and amino acids across the plasma membrane. It helps out the digestive system also. It releases pancreatic fluid that contains digestive enzymes that pass to the small intestine. Remember, the small intestine does a lot of work because it's got to break down all the food that you ate and take in the good stuff like the vitamins and the minerals. Whereas his big brother, the large intestine, well, he takes crap out of your body. These enzymes help to further break down the carbohydrates, proteins, and lipids known as fats and chyme, which is fluid waste. Here is a picture of both the liver and a cutaway section of the small intestine, but most importantly, the pancreas. If the pancreas is located right behind your stomach, it looks like a very strange corn on the cob. Actually looks like a tongue at the tip of it if you see it. But it's a very strange organ, but let me tell you, it does its job. It helps to create insulin, and it's also known as a very bad organ. Bad because in the world of cancer, if anyone ever did get a disease called pancreatic cancer, it is the most deadly, the fastest way a person would end in their existence. Pancreatic cancer is the most lethal way to die. It's very quick and it happens very fast. So pray to God that no one ever in your life or yourself have to deal with pancreatic cancer. Let's talk about diseases of the endocrine system, shall we? I'm not going to say popular, but the most known disease caused by the endocrine system is called diabetes. You have two types. You have 1 and you have 2. Let's talk about number 1. In type 1 diabetes, that person's own body has destroyed the insulin-producing cells of the pancreas. That is very bad. A person with type 1 does not produce insulin. Usually appears before the patient is 40 years of age. Only 15% of all diabetics have type 1. This is the one you do not want to have Because people with type 1, they must take insulin in order to stay alive the rest of their lives. Type 1 is not preventable. Whether a person is fat, thin, fit, or unfit, it makes no difference to his or her risk of developing it. In other words, you can have a ripped six-pack ab, you can be an Olympic athlete, you could still get type 1 diabetes. Most people who develop this are not overweight and otherwise healthy during the onset of it. You cannot reverse or prevent type 1 diabetes by doing lots of exercise or eating carefully. And the beta cells are not being produced in the pancreas, causing the disease. Type 2 diabetes, on the other hand, is also a lifelong chronic disease in which there are high levels of sugar or glucose in the blood. Type 2 diabetes is the most common form of diabetes in America and the world. Highlight that. It is caused by a problem in the way your body makes or uses insulin. So it has to do mainly with some functions of your pancreas and other accessory organs. This is a disease called acromegaly. It is a metabolic disorder in which there is too much growth hormone and the body tissues gradually enlarge. Looking at this picture of this man to the left side, his face is very long from his forehead to his chin, almost a Frankenstein-like appearance. This is because the growth of the bones and the muscles have gone beyond normal size. Looking to the right, a person with this acromegaly disease has very large feet, in proportionate sizing too. And this person is actually missing a toe on their left foot. Another picture of acromegaly or gigantism is when the pituitary gland is overproducing growth and people get really tall in terms of bone development, like this young man or old man in this picture. In this picture, you will see a quite rather large woman who seems to be a little bit on the overweight, pre-obese size, but the difference you can see is she's quite tall. She's large overall, and this is another acromegaly-caused disorder. Here you have a man who is also showing gigantism, where his basically his growth hormone has been overproduced by the pituitary gland. He's quite tall. He's measuring in at 7'5". The opposite of gigantism or acromegaly is called dwarfism. This is a growth hormone deficiency, and it refers to the abnormally short height in childhood due to the lack of growth hormone. So opposite of getting too tall or getting too big, dwarfism deals with people who don't grow at all or don't grow fast enough as everyone does. Looking in this picture, on the left there's a normal growth of a boy, and on the right there is a slowed down dwarfism, in this case called achondroplasia. And you can see that they are twin brothers, and they look totally different because one is growing normally and the other one has dwarfism. This is a picture of the world's smallest girl. She's said to be about 2.5 to 3 feet tall. And this is it. This is one of the last diseases that I'll talk about right now. But most likely people have diseases of growth because of their endocrine problems due to lack of production by the pituitary gland or other accessory endocrine organ systems. All right, people. I not only want you to review this video that you saw, but your actual notes. And please read chapter 18. And good luck on the test.